This is the Sound Meets Sound podcast. My guest today is Nicole Camacho. Welcome, Nicole. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do?
So I'm a flutist, a performer. I love to improvise, and perform contemporary music. I'm a community concert producer through my organization Music Unboxed, primarily. I'm a music educator. I'm about to go into my second year of teaching full-time in an elementary school in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. But I've been teaching a long time in other ways, like private lessons and band camps and all that. So I participate on the board of the New York Flute Club now for a few years. I compose a bit. And I think that wraps it up.
That's plenty.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to remember when we met. It was probably 2009.
Yeah, 2009 is the year I graduated from Manhattan School.
Let's start with, I saw that you posted you're doing an electronics duo with Drake Anderson, and I was just curious to hear more about that.
So we started rehearsing in January. I have reached out to him this is during my first year of teaching. This is basically the duo that survived the craziness. So it's really a life-saving musical duo for me. Mm-hmm. Basically, I wrote him in November, I want to commission a piece. And then he had an idea to do a flute and electronics duo, all improvised. So we started rehearsing in January. And I had gone to school with Drake at Manhattan School. So he's a composer primarily. He works in Max MSP, really like a genius. I'm just sitting there and he's making these webs of electronic machines to process sound. We had our first concert in February at CUNY Grad Center where he's getting his doctorate. It was so great to finally make music again. When I had to get my degree, my certification again as a teacher in New York State, that took a lot of energy out of me.
Yeah.
And then the interview process, I had to drop a lot of private students and really focus in on making this happen. And I had to get to know over 300 children's names and how many staff members and I commute from Long Island to my job an hour and a half a day. So for this project to be happening really saved my life. It really helped me a lot, mentally,
Yeah.
I always see quotes and it says, music is life, But when I was a performer, I just kind of took it for granted, I play music every day and, I love it. I'm living, I'm breathing it. When I didn't have the performance aspect around as much, and then it finally manifested that I had one project. Okay, I was like, music really is life. This is keeping me grounded. Mm-hmm. It's my outlet right now. I don't know what I would do without it. The perspective totally changed. There was just so much gratitude for it.
Right, right. Yeah. I know what you mean, because when you're young, and especially when you're in school or just after school, and you still know all your school friends, and of course I'm talking about grad school, you're used to performing a lot, and you kind of have to perform a lot because that's part of your degree. And then, you completely take it for granted, and then if you start to miss it a lot, I totally...
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And you said that you wrote an improv for that?
Oh, right. So we improvise all of the music. Mm-hmm. And to start out, we each created pieces. I have a few pieces and they're all based on small vamps. This one, hip hop improvisation, I created a long time ago and I perform it solo. So I would sing. I would hear so many layers and I would sing over it while I was playing, and I would do a little percussion, and it was kind of my first dive into percussion with flute, kind of a beatboxing sound, mm-hmm. which I'm still working on. I'm not 100%, but I'm still working on it. I was hearing all these layers, but I was by myself, and I always wanted to use a pedal and do all that good stuff. But
Right.
that costs money, and then I don't know what to buy, and I don't want to spend my money on things and find out it's not the updated version anymore or whatever that is. Yeah, when Drake asked me, and he mentioned the word like, like an ambient kind of vibe. So I was like, okay, I want to bring this piece in for us to play
Yeah.
together. Yeah, and it just like opened it up. It was just so cool. So I love that recording so much. It was recorded at CUNY Grad Center. I love that recording so much. I hope we put it out soon. But I have it on YouTube, me solo, 2 versions of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hip hop improvisation on YouTube. Yeah, I really love it. It's like a meditation for me.
I heard you play when Matt did that concert at First Presbyterian Church in Brooklyn
Yeah.
Heights, the Music at First thing. You did a
Yeah.
composition on that show.
Yeah. I did my composition Ticket Ticket for solo alto flute, and also uses percussive technique. And the inspiration for that one is just I just love percussion. If I didn't play flute, I would have played percussion hands down. I have percussionist envy. Like they get so many different, instruments and mallets and all this cool stuff. Then also another inspiration was at the time, this is when we first got to Manhattan School of Music, and they had put us in it was a new program for contemporary performance, the first year of it. And they had put us in a composition class. And I'm thinking, okay, I came here to play contemporary music. I didn't know I was going to compose. The teacher was Mark Stambaugh. He's a really loving teacher. He wasn't intimidating at all, but the whole process, felt intimidating because, I never composed before. And I was among other people who had kind of found a composer voice already as performers, even as performers. And I was thinking, what can I write that's going to be worthwhile, that's going to be different, and that's going to express me, who I am. And then Ticket Ticket was the result of that. And also we had been taking an Indian music course. That was part of our course load too, which I didn't expect that either. And there's a lot of things that I didn't expect to be doing that pushed me into composing. And so we were listening to a lot of tabla at the time. So that kind of also how they use the syllables to count the rhythm in Indian classical music. And, the fact that you can beatbox in the flute, you can make those sounds. So I started fooling around with that. And so this composition, Ticket Ticket, ended up being my drone piece. Oh, okay. It always goes back to a C tongram within the piece. Yeah. So, yeah, and everyone loved it.
That's great.
Oh my gosh, everyone likes my piece. And these are like really awesome, musicians, and I'm never composed really, and they love it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I'm finding a voice, my own voice. And that was really exciting. And yeah, it made me think a lot about how jazz programs, because this was a contemporary program, and I had come from a classical program, a music ed program at that. Jazz programs will push their students, to compose, improvise it all. And I thought about that concept, how like that's so good to do for people to explore sound and try to find some sounds here and there and write music.
Yeah, you're learning music from the inside when you're asking your brain to come up with something new. And especially when you incorporate that with your instrument that you've been studying for your entire life practically. Like it makes you think of your instrument differently as well. Composition should be part of every music program, even a music ed program. I guess that's a good seg into your teaching full time. Was it in Crown Heights?
Yeah.
I can't believe you commute from Long Island to Crown Heights. Major respect.
I'm gonna tell you the good thing about a commute on a train.
Mm-hmm.
It you can't do anything else. You don't have you don't have service on your phone.
Right.
You
Right.
can't hardly do email. You can't talk to anyone. You're gonna disturb the people around you.
Yeah.
It's too early or it's the end of the day. And I just space out. I literally space out and I
Mm-hmm.
just like have that moment where I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
So it's in a way it's good for me. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're about to encounter a lot of little kids, like having that moment of like
Yeah.
just with
Yeah.
yourself. Yes.
Definitely.
So, I've taught little kids a little bit, like in private lessons, but what is that like teaching you're teaching in the classroom setting?
Yeah.
Right? So, what exactly is your job there, and what's the age range of the kids?
So I got hired, and it's gonna continue. My schedule didn't change, so I got hired to teach. I'm teaching pre-K, kindergarten,
Mm-hmm.
first grade, fourth and fifth grade.
Oh, okay. Wide
Yeah,
range.
huge skip. And I teach general music. This school has a huge culture of art. The older school, this one's only 4 years old. The older school was going under, and this principal, he put in a bid with the vision of having a public school with arts. And so now this school is 4 years old, and they do a winter arts festival and a spring arts festival each year. Every kid in the school sings. Every student sings. Every student is considered an artist. They have 2 music teachers, an art teacher, a dance teacher, and
Wow.
him as well. Everything is a 50-minute time frame. This principal, that was his dream to have a school like that. And every time people ask me, they always say, "Is that a charter school?" And I'm like, "No, it's a public school."
I was
right?
assuming it was a charter school, so I'm amazed it's a public.
Right. So totally. So this is a public school. So I teach general music. I prepare my students for the Winter Arts Festival and the Spring Arts Festival, in addition to teaching instrument. So I'll teach ukulele, guitar, and Orff instruments. My ensemble that I was hired to teach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, this job was all new. This was me jumping off the edge for sure. So the ensemble I teach is a little kids rock band.
Oh,
yep.
Nice.
The 4th and 5th graders. It's so interesting for me because before I came to this school, I'm not an avid pop music listener.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a radio listener. I go on and on. I go through my stages. I know the songs. But, these students live on this music. They connect with it. And I can understand why it would be important and relevant to them, So anyway, I didn't know any of these instruments before I showed up. So I learned electric bass, drums, at a minimal level.
Yeah.
The ukulele, guitar, electric guitar, keyboard. And then I had to figure out how to communicate this to the students so that they can play and not be stuck in the theory of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the organization that does this, the organization that trains teachers to do this is called Modern Band. It would be like a newer ensemble in schools,
Mm-hmm.
It's called Amp Up NYC, and they work with, and Little Kids Rock. It's like they work with Berkeley School of Music, I believe, to develop the curriculum. They have online materials. They have a whole website called Jam Zone. The kids can go on the website and take lessons. They can learn songs by themselves without their teacher, which is great because we don't have time for private lessons and all that.
Right.
Yeah, they certify you. They do a day workshop. It's free. And you have 30 points to get instruments. So in addition to certifying you, every teacher has a set of instruments. And so I got a drum set, a speaker system, ukuleles, everything that I would need to start, a keyboards, a bass. There's so much to talk about with regards to this job. This job punched me in the face. Like, seriously, I either quit or I like run the marathon right in the beginning
Right.
without any training for this marathon, you know?
Right. Right.
Like talk about like resilience 101, you know?
Right. Yes.
Yeah, no, and I love it. I stepped into the shoes and I ended up filling them well. I'm working in a school. Actually, I didn't know when I showed up for the interview. My cousin was a pre-K teacher there, but I didn't know my third cousin.
Oh,
I
okay.
I ended up teaching my little pre-K fourth or third cousins
Oh,
this
wow.
too. So I actually have roots, like family here, and I didn't know. I just showed up and there they were. So it feels like, for me, it feels like even though I didn't intend that I would be teaching full time, it felt for me like I'm stepping into my purpose, a part of my purpose here. So that feels good because it was a lot of work. So drive, that was my drive. I felt like I got signs where I was like, okay, I'm supposed to be here, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
They always say your first year of like full-time classroom teaching is like the hardest. Like,
Yes.
because yeah, we're especially working with kids. I feel like that's I just from teaching one-on-one lessons, I would get home and just like go to sleep immediately. It's
Yeah.
so exhausting.
Yes.
And it's really hard to have energy for other things. So that's really cool that you're keeping up the duo with Drake. Because I think I probably would just be sleeping all the time.
Yeah. Yes. I just felt like I need to break out of this and talk with adults every now and then. So I signed up for a Spanish course in maybe April. My sister ended up signing up with me. So we ended up going twice a week to a Spanish course. That saved my life. But let me tell you, I would show up to this class looking like a train wreck. Like, just, I don't know what these people thought of me, but it didn't matter. I wasn't my lively self. I'm lively now, but I would just sit there like, here I am, everything's going to be okay. And I would like talk myself out of the stress. And, it was good for me to take that class and talk with other adults who did different things.
Major respect. What is the name of the school in Crown Heights that you're teaching?
The school is PS 532, New Bridges Elementary School.
So I guess what is happening with Music Unboxed?
I had to really think hard about what I want to keep around with this job being, really taxing. And Music Unboxed, I started in 2012, and it's taken so much work to start. And I can't just give that up. That came from a place inside of me at the time that it answered through my community production. A lot of questions were answered for me about the possibilities of what music could do in building community. So I decided to keep it going, and this year I produced one show for trombonist Will Lang in his hometown of Setauket, Long Island, which was really a great homecoming, in a library. This was 2016, October 2016, at the Setauket Public Library. Apparently he worked there as a teenager. That was one of his jobs. Yeah, so funny. While at the show, he told the story of how he worked there, and he got fired from this library for reading too much.
Wow.
Like he was reading too. I don't know. It's so funny. Anyway, it's funny that he got the chance to tell that story as a professional musician performing in the library, and a past worker there, an employee there.
Yeah.
Yes, he got to see family he hadn't seen in a long time.
Wow.
People who didn't know who he was got to know him. The library was really supportive. It served its mission. We should be able to go back to our hometowns, And also when artists go back to their hometowns, there's an element of like building pride in your town, because this person went through your school systems, your public school systems, your music program that you should keep, and you shouldn't fire your music teacher. You should keep them. Look at what's happening here. You know, I just like when music schools were going, you know, art teachers were getting fired, you know, they were getting cut a lot. Yeah, when I graduated in 2009, there was a hiring freeze for music. And I got out of my master's at Manhattan School, and I was basically, before I went to my master's, I had 4 job offers that I didn't take because I wasn't ready. And now it was, you know, I was done with my master's and there were no jobs. It's an internal thing too. It's about being ready and all that. But, you know, I did need a job and it was tough. And then I went from the city life to Long Island. And I ended up getting a job at a bookstore for minimum wage. Out of my master's. Horrible.
It stings.
It does. At my undergraduate university, which is down the street from me. So some of the teachers would see me working for minimum wage at the bookstore. And there was this like moment of like this awkward moment where it was like, oh, hi, how are you? You know? Or should I ask her how things are going?
What went wrong?
Yeah. What went wrong? Like, you got a contemporary performance, that's what went wrong. You know? Okay, outside of all of that, so I'm at this bookstore for hours, like in the summer, like, you know, there's not a lot of people coming through all the time. So I started rolling out my receipt paper at the cash register, and I started like writing down like a sketch, you know, of like, why are these problems here? Why doesn't my community want me right away? Why am I not hired right away? Why am I not obviously needed, you know, to nurture the people around me and participate in my community? You know, why people, for the music teachers, a lot of the professionals, you know, they're just surviving their yearly work, but still I thought, you know, I know these people, why aren't there jobs for me, students for me, you know, just what, like I was thinking like, just what did I do wrong? What's going on, you know? And I just came to the conclusion that it would really benefit artists and all the venues on Long Island. You know how many venues there are? There's libraries, schools, museums, gardens, rolling hills of venues that aren't being played in regularly, you know? So I'm thinking like, what is the disconnect here? There are rolling hills of venues. I'm an artist, and I would go, you know, I had experiences. I would go to these venues and I would talk with people and they just wouldn't take me seriously. It wasn't like in New York City. In New York City, I mean, obviously you have to be professional and propose something, you know, propose a good, solid proposal. But I mean, these people would not, you know, they were concerned. They didn't want the mission of their organization to be, you know, messed up by someone they just met, or maybe they don't see the need, or they want to make sure your values match their values, and they want to protect what they've worked so hard for, which I understand, you know, but it was really difficult. So I just was thinking, what could I do for myself to make some way? So that's why I started Music Unboxed. Yeah. So anyway, this year I just been getting it. I decided to declare it not for profit through the government. I had a fiscal sponsor. I had Fractured Atlas was my fiscal sponsor, and I'm still working with them. I just decided that the Music Unboxed has a lifespan that's longer than my lifespan. I think that I've gotten a really good response, and I feel like, you know, what it did for me in answering questions for me, it will do for the next person, the next people, and my students, or people, you know, the next generation of people who want to interact with communities in creative ways and have honest goals to do good through art, you know?
Yeah.
So then I decided, and I got a pro bono lawyer through Hofstra University. Wow. I waited a whole year. Yeah, and so I was not gonna let this go. Yeah, I've been holding on to it, even if it goes slow. I'm like a turtle right now with
Yeah.
it's it's painful, but when you work that for that long on something and you see that good reaction from audiences and parents and things. So
Hmm.
I want to keep it going. Yeah. I've been thinking about other communities and like for example, I'm in suburbia.
Yeah.
So Long Island, I hope to expand, but I just want to do my work where I live because that's what I know for right now.
Right.
And so what I notice where I live is the sports community is strong,
Right.
so strong
Hmm.
throughout every age of person. They will show the local softball match, girls softball, volleyball, football on TV, on the local news. I never saw a concert posted on my local news. Okay, maybe
Right.
so I don't watch it all the time, but like when I would see it, I wouldn't see that much for music.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then the concerts being curated near me are more geared towards certain audiences, but
Yeah.
they didn't they didn't always include all audience. So it would be like summer would be like something like Motown hits or something. Yeah. So I've been looking at community and thinking, okay, how do I build one around what I do, the arts, music. Watching other communities is helpful. They gather a lot. Yeah, they get together and they also it's lifelong. So when you're teaching science, you don't stop playing whatever it is, golf. You go on the weekend, you still play golf. So
Right.
there's this lifelong aspect to sports, which, I would love to help cultivate through what I'm doing too. Like in each concert, the performers are performing, but then I add an element every now and then if I can, an element of like a workshop.
Right.
So the students are interacting with professionals, but then also it would be cool if we had musicians who are still playing, taking lessons, in their adult life, getting some opportunities for them to play
Hmm.
also. So it's
Yeah.
like a full circle. You think of an ecosystem. What's a full circle look like? Long Island has a strong, it's the opposite. The city has more shows, more
Hmm.
public art. That's from my experience. More public art that I'm interested in. I guess I'll say it like that.
Right.
And Long Island has more education
Hmm.
for the youth. So I was just trying to mix the two.
Was flute your first instrument?
Yeah, I'm from Uniondale, New York, and I started in elementary school. And I didn't know, I don't have a family of musicians, but I have a family of music lovers. They love like salsa and Motown and, good music. They love music. When I applied for my instrument, I put the girl that babysat me and walked me home. She played clarinet, and I really wanted to play the clarinet, but I forgot the name of the clarinet. So I wrote flute on the paper,
Oh,
and
wow.
I just was like I was a kind of laid back child, so I didn't want to be combative with my teacher, or I felt embarrassed, or so I just left it. I didn't even get a sound for a whole year. I was horrible. I didn't even take lessons till high school, my senior year of high school.
Oh,
So
really?
like I'm a serious late bloomer. I
Hmm.
love music. When I went to Hofstra University, I was like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. I guess I'll major in flute performance. That's horrible, right? I don't know what to do. And I haven't had lessons ever since my
Hmm.
senior. Like, I'm going to be a flute performer, you know?
And you did
Who
it.
says that? No, and after one semester when I heard everybody else, and this is like mainly music ed, program, but really good musicians,
Hmm.
I'm like, oh no, I can't be a flute performer. I'm going to be a music educator. So I switched my major to music education the second semester. Just kept with it. And I just I joined the contemporary ensemble with Pat Spencer, who's really an awesome contemporary player. I got really into it. I joined every ensemble possible. It was like water, like I was
Yeah.
thirsty,
Yeah.
you know? And you know what was so cool about my school, Hofstra University, because I mean, I didn't know it was I didn't realize it was a special thing that I could do there, but you could join any ensemble no matter what your major was. There was no limit. However, with orchestra and band, you did have to audition and work hard, but just in terms of chamber music groups, group, there was no limit. No one was going to limit me. I even got to improvise for the dance school. They had a huge modern dance program that's really awesome. And I would play with the percussionists in the dance classes, and I could take jazz, I could take everything, and that really molded me. Whereas when I went to Manhattan School of Music, which I didn't realize was the reality of a lot of people, is you're limited with your ensembles that you can be in.
Right.
Yeah. So unless you go and form them with people, you could do that.
Right.
But just in terms of your credits and things, yeah, you're like have to audition even for a master class. You have to do this. You know, when we did master classes, everyone would play. Yeah, so it's a different world. But that environment, me being a late bloomer, that university environment is what cultivated like my love for performing and helped me bloom into a performer. And that's like how I was able to get good for conservatory, 2 years at conservatory. I have a huge gap in my training. It's kind of wild. I went straight for contemporary somehow. I have a classical training, but I don't have the extensive classical training that others have. Like I didn't spend 30 years is an exaggeration, but I didn't spend like 15 years prior to college playing Bach.
Right.
You know, I started playing Bach my senior year of high school when I started taking lessons. And then, you know what I'm saying? So it's an interesting thing for me that I would have gotten that come all this way, you know? Right. But also I feel it feels cool because I think I was in a way uninhibited by the tradition.
Yes.
You know? And so I couldn't model a tradition I never had extensive training in. So I was really experimenting with like embouchure and how to get sounds and things. And I think in a way, even though I still strive to play traditional repertoire and work hard on it, and I love it, I do love it, I just feel like that helped me as a growing person. I was not groomed by a school, you know? I was not, I couldn't be like anyone else. I couldn't, I wasn't trained as a young person like that, you know? So I was just like myself, you know? Right. Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
I do think we're seeing a shift in music education, a very tiny shift, but I think it's starting where now you can be a scare quotes real performer without having that huge Western canon focus.
Yeah, I know my degree program at Manhattan School, Contemporary Performance, that was like a big deal for them.
I remember.
They had one steel pan player, Andy Akiho steel pan, and a conservatory.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, that's insane. And so many awesome things happening. Saying so many shifts. There was a player I met, a singer, Shirsti Cavelli. I don't know if you remember. You know, she's a contemporary player, a contemporary singer, but that's how I knew her. But then it turns out she was a singer-songwriter also, and she had asked me to join her band, and I thought, oh my gosh, like, so then I just play folk. I can play folk music, with her, and that was so cool. And I learned a lot from her because, like you're saying, this whole like quote unquote real. What does that mean? She just like, she felt it in her heart and she just shifted, into that, and she made it a part of her life, and she pulled me in and other people. Me in particular didn't know that would be a part of my life or my skill set,
Right.
and I just loved it so much, playing with her. Also, the singer song, I think a lot about a singer songwriter mindset. This mindset, something's in your heart, and it's there, so right there, and it's gotta be born. It's gotta be written. It's gotta be sung, and you do it. You make this art. You make music, and there's no training in between you and getting that song out to people. And I got to kind of tour with, be with Shirley a while and see how she would bloom with her own songs, how they would like take shape in her own performance, and that inspired me a lot as a performer, and a lot more than I thought. I never was in that scene, so I didn't know what that was like, and the courage it takes to do this,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that gave me a lot of courage as a contemporary player, just like I was saying before, like how the jazz players would compose and all this, that inspired me. And then what a scene that I had just then connected with was this singer-songwriter kind of mentality and that kind of thought. And that inspired me as a player. And I think this element of like breaking the boundary and getting inspiration from different places, not just your university,
Right.
And
Right. Yeah.
also this concept of being a part of a living, moving scene and like getting inspiration from the people around you. And that's exciting. That's the exciting part of about being a part of art.
What's on the horizon for you? I know you're going to start teaching again soon, but what other things are going on in the future for you?
I just want to keep being an artist. And so I'm going to fight for that. This is a battle. This is war. This is war.
It is. It absolutely is.
No, and when you get a taste of how it is to create and do this, you can't let it go that easy. I don't want to let it go. This is who I am. I love to create things, and I do believe that me being an artist is relevant to me being a teacher. I think they go in hand. And I think that I'm able to reach my students and know who they are because I'm sensitive artistically, and I can really reach them and know them. So I want to stay in touch with that for myself because I feel like that helps me help them. Me being me helps the world. All of us being our true selves helps us be better citizens, And so I want to keep making art like in its purest form. If like no one likes it, I'm okay. I have a job. I want to just now get into that art. I want a band. That's what I had a band for one show in 2012. It's just crazy. I loved it. I had my pieces. I was curating, like I was like getting together like how to work in their personalities into the group, and I thought that was so great. I want to do that. So that's my thing. So I have my duo with Drake, which is cool. And I want a band and just keep being myself, keep doing music unboxed. Yeah, being good to the artist community, like making change, like not necessarily, I want to participate as an active member. I want to do my part to bring us up, bring art up, and like make it known and make it seen and let people interact with it and enjoy it, for themselves and discover new things about themselves. That's the beautiful thing about art, is that when we create art, then someone else perceives it a whole new way and they learn something about themselves through it, And so this is like something that's just like, so it's the science under the science, this is us living, this is life, So I want to just keep doing this. I really have had to convince myself that it's relevant in the past, that I deserve to do art and put it out there. I'm getting to that point where my mission is really sharp. I'm really feeling that, this is important, this is relevant, this is going to inspire others to come out of their shells. And that's so important.
Yeah, and reasserting that over and over, like, this deserves to be here. I deserve to be making it. It's hard to hold on to that mission sometimes because there's so many things in the world that are telling you, oh, this isn't important.
Or in your day. Your email,
yes.
paperwork. I don't have a secretary to do my paperwork. And I get anxiety and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't practice. I should do this paperwork. Right. I shouldn't, that's the little picture, but.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to be Nicole's secretary who is listening to this right now, it's an unpaid internship, but flute lessons.
No. I order you to go make art.
Yes.
Right. Don't sign up for that job.
Go make art. And if you want to be in a band with Nicole,
Yeah, that's cool. That's great.
Anyway, thank you so much for this was really inspirational for me. I really enjoyed talking to you. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. Is there anything else you want to share with? I don't want to cut you short. Is there anything else you want to share?
Oh gosh, it just flows over. Yeah. I'm so excited to have this conversation because I've had so many thoughts, and I'm hitting a point where I want to put it out now, have the conversation in front of other people. Yeah, so I just feel good. I feel like this conversation came at a good time for me because I've had so many one-on-ones with this person over these years. It's been about 8 years since I graduated from my master's, and so much has happened since then. And this would be kind of like, also I just finished a year of teaching. It's been an epic experience for me out of my master's. So I feel good. I feel good to talk about what's up with me, and also hoping that, it uplifts other people and that they go make their art, that they feel impelled to have some of the conversations we've had with people, them, and also feel impelled to explore and get their answers. The opposite is, we read a lot of blogs. I went through a whole period of time where I was reading so many blogs. And then there comes a moment where you need to do something. I read blogs for like the whole time I was writing on that receipt paper at that minimum wage job. I was reading blogs every day on business, on all this. I was just like looking for answers. I want answers. And then I realized the only way I'm going to get my answers if I go out and start to build as best I can a way of getting these answers. I hope that we can do more of that as a community, and help each other. I need help still. I'm getting answers,
Yeah.
So we can just all do the work and help each other. We'd have a healthy ecosystem, a happy family, Yeah. You just got to get out there, Nicole. Everything's going to be okay.
Yes.
Like, I went to Mexico City and we went to the pyramids. My sister was working there. We went to the pyramids and just outside Teotihuacan pyramids, just outside Mexico City. And like, I'm thinking we're just going to walk the grounds. And I thought what I saw when I came in was it. And I didn't bring sunblock, hardly any water. No, they let us climb these pyramids. We climbed the Pyramid of the Sun without sunblock, the Pyramid of the Moon.
Wow.
And it is not, there were people of all ages climbing this, people with their children. It's considered good luck there too. For the locals, there were a lot of people out. I was like, wow, you let us climb this pyramid? I was like, what are you saying right now? Are you crazy? And so I just like, that kind of life of like, climb pyramid. Okay, it has a loose bar for support. The steps are all different sizes and don't fit your foot size or whatever.
Yeah.
Get over it. Get over it and get out there.
That's a good analogy. Definitely.
That's my pep.
I like it. Climb a pyramid. No matter how hot the sun is.
Cool, but it's true. Like, take your steps forward,
Yeah. Thanks again to Nicole for being my guest on Sound Meets Sound and encouraging us all to go after our dreams, even if it means climbing a scary pyramid. So I just wanted to close out with the piece we mentioned earlier in the podcast, Hip Hop Improvisation, which Nicole wrote. The following is an acoustic performance. This is her playing the flute and singing along as she's playing the flute. So thanks again, Nicole, and here's Hip Hop Improvisation by Nicole Camacho.